Every year, about 1 million tons of pistachios are consumed worldwide. To meet this huge demand, giant harvesters collect and process tons of nuts. But how are they planted? They harvest and process billions of pistachios. In this video, we'll find out how one of the most delicious nuts on the planet is produced. Pistachios are one of the oldest nuts. They have been consumed for over 9,000 years. For centuries, it was considered a valuable food and, in many cultures, a delicacy reserved for kings and nobles. Because of its flavor, its resilience, and its ability to stay dry for long periods. California is one of the world's leading producers of pistachios. Its extensive orchards are mainly concentrated in the San Joaquin Valley. In San Joaquin, where the hot climate and long summers create the ideal conditions for growing this nut. The trees require patience. They can take up to 8 years to bear their first fruits. The farmers help the state produce 250 million kilos of pistachios every year, which represents more than a third of the entire world production. But all of this requires time and a considerable investment. The growing process begins in 400 square meter greenhouses. This is the nursery where more than 1 million new trees are planted every year. Each seedling requires special care. They must be kept in an environment with high humidity and a constant temperature of about 32 degrees Celsius conditions that simulate the climate pistachios need to grow strong and healthy. An especially cold winter could destroy the entire crop before the trees have a chance to grow. That's why during the first 3 months, the seedlings receive intensive care in the nursery, controlled watering, proper nutrients, and constant protection against pests and temperature changes. When they reach 1 year old, the plants require careful pruning. During this process, the farmers select the strongest shoots and remove the weaker ones, ensuring that each plant has a robust structure, robust enough to withstand years of growth and produce abundant harvests. The next step is to perform a graft on the upper half of the plant. In this case, a bud from a different variety of the same species known as kerman is used, famous for its quality and productivity. Without this graft, the tree would grow healthy, but it would only produce leaves and no fruit. Thanks to this technique, the combination of the resistant rootstock with the kerman bud ensures that the tree will develop strong roots and at the same time, branches capable of producing pistachios of excellent quality. Once grafted, the trees are planted in long rows that can reach up to 400 meters. Only the female trees produce fruit, but they need to be pollinated for this to happen. That's why for every group of 25 female trees, a male tree is planted to release pollen during flowering. Thanks to careful attention and strategic pruning, the trees finally reach maturity 6 years after being planted. Now they look lush and strong and are starting to show their first fruits. When the fruits begin to open, they reveal the characteristic green kernel inside, a sign that they are ripe and ready to be harvested. Timing is critical. You have only 1 week to collect more than 300 tons of pistachios directly from the trees. Every day counts, and the pressure to harvest the fruits at the right time is enormous. At dawn, the silence of the orchard is broken by the roar of the machinery. This strange machine is a shaker designed to replace the work of hundreds of pickers, equipped with a catch frame that collects the fruits. These huge harvesters position themselves around the trunk and apply high-intensity vibrations, equivalent to hundreds of bars of pressure. Thanks to this movement, the ripe pistachios fall, covering the orchard floor. In just 5 seconds, the shaker can detach thousands of pistachios from a tree. The machine's sloped covers guide the fruits toward a huge auger, which gently transports them to a trailer. The trailers fill up quickly, accumulating up to 4.5 tons of fresh pistachios in a very short time. Once full, the trailers leave the orchard and unload their valuable cargo onto conveyor belts that carry it to the trucks. To avoid mold contamination, these pistachios need to be processed in less than 24 hours. After traveling about 75 kilometers from the orchards, The pistachios arrive at this processing plant, which is capable of handling more than 15,000 tons of nuts per year. When they arrive, the pistachios still have their characteristic reddish outer covering, a sign that they have just been harvested and still retain all their freshness. The first step is to remove the outer covering from the pistachios. To do this, the fruits are submerged in water. The empty shells and skins float, while the healthy and full pistachios sink to the bottom. Once separated, the wet pistachios are sent to huge 12-meter-tall drying columns. There, a stream of hot air removes the moisture without damaging the nut, preparing the pistachios for the sorting and packaging stage. Although the entire annual harvest is collected at once, pistachios are consumed throughout the year. That's why most of the nuts are stored to ensure their constant availability. On the plant, they are effective and can have a value. A harvest of 1.5 million at one time contains more than 700 million pistachios. Storage is carried out in a cold and dry environment, which are ideal conditions to keep the nuts fresh for almost a year. But the pistachios intended for sale require an additional step: sorting by size and quality. For this, they are transported in boxes to a huge 11,000 square meter sorting area.
Em seguida, levam
A good shake. This is a sizing machine. As the fruits overflow, the smaller ones fall through these holes and the more valuable ones continue their journey. The next step is to separate the pistachios whose shells are already slightly open from those that are still completely closed. For this, huge rotating drums are used that gently shake the fruits as they spin. The difference in the shell opening allows the open pistachios to be separated. Each pistachio passes through an advanced high-tech scanner. The machine can process up to 5 tons of fruits per hour, analyzing each one precisely to detect imperfections and cracks. The huge dryers continue their work, reducing the moisture content of the pistachios until they reach just 5% moisture, the perfect level to ensure their flavor and texture. Once dried, the pistachios are bagged, packaged, and stacked on pallets, ready for distribution. From here, they will begin their journey to stores and homes all around the world. And that was today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.